Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. Good to be back again. Last week we just took some time out, which was really great thing to do. Just kind of recharged our batteries. Met up with some friends yesterday who Rob's friends we haven't seen for 25 years. That was really lovely. And London, Brighton, all sorts of lovely places. Went Greenwich Market yesterday, which was really nice. Met some really lovely people there. So so we're back to this week with 10 at 10, which is really great. We've got five businesses this week that we'll be talking to. And then the sort of countdown for our event. So here we go. So let me start first of all, and hopefully we have no hiccups. We know in the past we have. Oh, there we go. So, and all ready to go. It's nice to see a few people on here already. Hello to everyone. So just wait. Hey, there we go. Morning. Right. How are you?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to say good, but yeah. We tested yesterday and we came back positive. So we're potentially looking at 10 days of isolation joins. So,
Oh, God.
No, we'll get through out, but we're going to see. We're off to the test centre after this. So, yeah. But we're cheering up.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you could introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what is it that you make and sell.
Well, I'm Chris, and what I do, wow, I don't know. This really confuses me as a question, I'm honest with you, because a couple of months ago I got this woman do a kind of like review of my Instagram, and I was so confused by what she came back with and said. She was like, your message is really unclear. So I think I'll just try and break it down as much as I kind of see it. I generally draw things, predominantly animals. And then kind of scan them in and stick them on a bright coloured background and then get them printed, art prints or cushions or mugs or that kind of thing. That's the main thing that I kind of sell. And then I do wedding stationery and pet portraits, gift illustrations. So there's quite a lot of strings to the bow, which I think why she sees it's a bit confusing. But I think that's what I enjoy about it, actually, because it's always something a bit different that I might be working on. So, but I'd say hand-drawn illustrations, digitally scanned in, and then made into stuff to sell.
Cool, excellent. And why did you set up your business, and how did you come up with your business name? Which is probably quite easy to work that one out.
Fun. Basically, actually, there was a bit of a story behind it. My dad, he used to take steam engine lorries, old sort of die-cast ones, and then strip them back, paint them, design them with different kind of loads and stuff, and then rebrand them and paint. And he called them PKM and Son. Right. So I think coming up with my name, I kind of thought I'd like to keep the Millard kind of vibe going. So I just went with my name really, because it was quite easy. And I don't think I'll forget it. And then I've always liked drawing, I think generally. And I went to Portsmouth University and studied illustration. So it's always kind of been there as a love of mine. I think first of all, I was really interested in kind of fashion. I used to dance when I was younger, and I used to, when our grandparents looked after us in the summer, I used to just sit and design dance costumes with all these sequins and feathers and everything all over them. I think it just kind of escalated from there, really, like a love of drawing and kind of fashion as well, actually. But somehow ended up with animal illustrations in a really kind of weird, bizarre twist of things. It just kind of wound up that way. But so that's really generally how I got the name of the business and all that kind of thing.
And I suppose what's lovely as well, especially being an artist and a creative person, is that you have these visions in your head, isn't it? And you have to get that onto the pen and paper as such. So they're in your head as such. Is that how you kind of creatively kind of get the animals onto the paper? Is that how you kind of think about them? They're there, or?
Yeah. I mean, I think in my mind, I'm just drawing them as I think everyone sees them.
Sure.
And then it took years to realise that actually how I see them is my style, is how I represent. And I don't know, I have this weird thing where I think everyone can do what everybody else can do, kind of thing. Like I just think if everyone sat, they draw something like that, kind of thing. I think one of the things I am quite good at, and I think why I do the wedding stuff, is because I quite like fulfilling what other people can't quite draw or create themselves. So if they've got a vision for their like wedding stationery or sort of a gift they want to give someone, I kind of like to create it for them. Like I listen very much to what they want, the colours, the style. I mean, I guess they pick me because they kind of like my work, but in a way, I also feel like I can adapt it to kind of meet the needs of what they're looking for.
Exactly. You know, and I know for one that behind my back, you and Rob you designed a card for us. It's our 22-year anniversary, and it was we talk about us as two guys, as two stags that lock horns, and you know, it's very symbolised. And you had managed to do a really lovely card, which is upstairs framed, which you had done, which, you know, you both of you had talked about it, about what the design was going to be, and it came to life, which was lovely. And it's a one-off, which I kind of adore as well. So
good. Always good to hear.
Yep. So whereabouts are you based, and where is your workspace? I mean, your workspace can probably be anywhere as such, can't it? That for designing, not writing, artist, drawing. Sorry, I had a long day yesterday in Greenwich. Lots of red wine.
But yeah, no, we are now set up in just outside Whitstable. It's been so we lived in Brighton for 10 years, and then we left there last year, just at the kind of, as things were kind of pretending to open up again.
Sure.
We moved to Kent in with my other half's parents, and then lived with them for 9.5 months, which was a bit of a struggle, as you could imagine. And we very much, my workspace was very much crammed into where we also was our sort of TV relaxing room in their house and stuff. So it was a difficult balance between kind of having a workspace to shut off from and somewhere to actually go and relax. But now we've bought a nice 3-bedroom bungalow, 10-minute walk from the seafront. I mean, it's an absolute project. At every turn, there is something that goes wrong with the place. So I was in the heavy rain the other night. The water likes to rise, but luckily no dramas, so that was all right. But yeah, it's one of those, but it's lovely. This is my new workspace, actually. Kind of a nice studio where bright and light, like natural light coming in from the side, shelving units just to store everything away, because it's just like a clean desk to walk into in the morning. But yeah, it's nice. And at the end of the day, so I can shut the door, walk out, and then just go and relax. Or if I've got loads to do, just be like, yeah, I'm going to come and stay in. So yeah. But no, it's pretty much remotely. If anybody ever, like, I've gone into London and stuff to do meetings and that kind of thing. And it's one of those ones where, luckily, because I just work generally on small pad and paper and then digitalise it at home, I can kind of travel around and do it. So it's, yeah.
And with yours as well, isn't it? It's something that if you're not feeling the love, you can leave it, come back to it, isn't it? That's what's the creative of when you start on a piece, isn't it? That it doesn't have to be there and then I have to make it. It might be, actually, I'll look at that, I'm not quite getting the colours or whatever's right and things like that. As in, you know, when we designed our animals and things, it was quite funny over lockdown of, you know, discussing it with Flossie, and, you know, we had the lion, and we tried to make him smile, but the thing was, he had teeth and he looked like Freddie Mercury, and it was absolutely hilarious. But, you know, we were sort of changing it all around and put the colours and the different, and it was really nice. And some things work and some things don't, and the whole process can be quite a long time as such, can't it? That drawing that you then want it to be correct, as you say, working with you know, with couples that are getting married now as well. It's great that they probably have their own, you know, what they want and what they don't want, isn't it? So yeah.
It's much easier, I find, sometimes working for a client, because they can kind of definitely say, that's the finished design, that's what we like. Whereas it's my stuff, Ollie has to say, you're done, it's all right, that's okay, because I kind of go back and forth, colour, shade, like, he's like, you've not even changed it. So you get really picky of your own work, I think. So sometimes it's nice, or to have a deadline, actually, just to kind of go, you have to get it sent to the printers by this point, otherwise. And I think that also motivates me quite a lot. And I've got a graveyard, I call it, of started illustrations. A bit more because they're a general, but yeah, it's like a graveyard of part drawn, part painted illustrations that kind of live in a drawer waiting for me to open up one day. So
we were in Greenwich yesterday talking to a lovely artist there, and very much kind of similar to you, as in she takes her design and she puts it onto, she's got silks and scrunchies, and she's got it onto cushions. And we talked to her about a certain animal, which I don't know if you know yet, but there's an animal that's quite on trend, and she opened up her drawing book, and there was the animal that I talked about. So she was already onto it, which was lovely. And just seeing it was absolutely stunning, just to see this drawing that she'd been working on. So I'd be excited to see that on Instagram, how it comes to life, which, so the animal, I'll tell you afterwards, so you can start. You know, sometimes when there's an animal that's on trend, and there's just this animal at the moment, so I'm not giving away too much. So have you a favourite, I know this is really hard sometimes with different people, but a favourite item to create, or is there a drawing that's your sort of favourite as such?
This is where the casual product placement to my side comes in. I've got a few, to be fair. I do like all of the ones I do. They all kind of give me the same level of stress and enjoyment in the same sort of measures, I'd say. I think the one that I'm going to wave about is definitely the animal signs. Like I started doing last year in lockdown, and they very much came around as someone's need for a present, but she couldn't get to the shops. And I was like, okay. And I think I just like them because it's like, I don't put as much detail into the animals because I do them sort of much smaller. They're on a much sort of smaller scale. Instead of the kind of usual ones that I draw, like the big zebra or that size, the letter ones are like only that big. So get a bit more kind of colour and the whole composition. I like planning out the colour of each of the letters so it's all going to match. And then kind of making sure that the colour of the letter is going to match the fur or kind of colour of the animal as well. And that, do you know what, that's one of my favourite things, just getting out like kind of the paint swabs and just kind of like playing around with that, making my desk really messy. So they were really fun. And then there's a few others done, like I've done like a whole Harry Potter themed one. Which was fun to do, actually. And then there's others where it's just kind of, instead of just animals, you kind of get a mix of like things that start with the letters and stuff. There's one woman on Etsy that's bought a couple from me because she just absolutely loves them. She was like, they're amazing gifts, and I was like, oh, thank you. So they're really fun to do. As I said, it's just quite varied, and it's just kind of, it's something kind of that feels a bit more finished. Like when I start an animal illustration, I'm kind of a bit like, oh, okay, I'll do that, and then I might see how it's going to sort of, which is why I think maybe I've got so many left over that I've not finished. And I'm kind of slowly banking a kind of, because the dream, which I've had for years, is to do an animal alphabet. Right. Slowly kind of back. So I kind of have, I'm saying about 2/3 of the way there. Hoping now that we've got settled and I've got a bit more time again, I can start to kind of really crack on with that. And I mean, I've got all the colours and the animals in my mind. I just need to do it now.
Exactly. And it's great, isn't it? There's a couple of people I know, that Noel and Dot and Curated Pickle, that they do it in their own distinctive kind of way. It was really lovely. Kirsty, who you know from Tiny Human, she was at you were next to each other.
My neighbour.
She was your neighbour. And she actually just said about the giraffe cushion, and I don't know if people can see it, but if I just move, can you see just behind, we've got the zebra cushion there. Can you see him? Yeah, there he is there. So we absolutely, and we've also got in the gallery, which is the downstairs toilet, we've got that on in a frame as well. So, and it's just because I think the zebra meant so much to us because it was one of our best sellers as Dapper Suave, and we absolutely, it was bestseller. A groom, his groomsman had it in the red and blue. So we always sort of like, it sort of reminds us of our good seller, and obviously we wanted something bright. So there we go. Come along, Kirsty, and you can see Chris and buy that cushion that you've been, and she needs a zebra one as well. I love that. And it is, isn't it? I think with anything, if you see something and you like it, then if it's going to make you happy, then there's nothing better than I like sat on the sofa with a cushion, cuddled up with a cushion. It gives me kind of quite a joy, do you know what I mean? And it's nice, isn't it? There's something. I mean, we've got, I don't know, this might be a controversial one, but I know there's this whole trend of kind of really like white and silver interiors in houses.
and I don't care for it. I really don't. I like colour. I like kind of rooms that kind of got impact. And I think that's why I kind of have very much kept with the bold colours.
Sure.
Because I just need to add a little bit of energy and a bit of oomph
Yes.
in it. And I just think, personally for me, walking around every room and it kind of being the same colour and just feeling the same, it doesn't do it for me. So that's why I kind of keep doing my colourful mark and hoping, especially not in kids' rooms and nurseries and stuff. I think it's a place where it's sort of full of stimulus and that kind of thing for them as they're growing and developing. So
definitely, and exactly what you said there, because you know with Dapper Suave we really love quirky, vibrant, fabrics, and that's what we're about. And also, when we have customers and they're after, we say, because we've learned from the past, a big mistake we made was just a colour and the bow ties, and actually in the end of it, we made them all, and just to cut a long story short, they were sent back and every single part went in the bin. And we almost say to everyone now, we don't do a colour, we are quirky, and that's what's really important. There are people out there, if you want that, then go to those kind of those shops or whatever and buy it, whatever. And ours is very much bespoke, and we learned from that. So if anyone just says, I'm after a purple, we're like, we don't do it purple. We can do zebras or anything like that, but we don't do a colour, And it was lovely. We just had a guy recently who we designed from spoon flour, as you know. It's great, you can put that onto and print it as such. And it was the world map in this pink and blue, and it was really lovely because that symbolised him and his partner to be, who are getting married very soon, actually. But that was really nice, just coming up with this, and it looks great on a tie. Although Rob spent a lot of time making the ties, and he said, I'm never making them again because it's all hand stitched or whatever. So but no, they say that the colour is and boldness is very, very important, especially in life now, isn't it, to have that pop of colour. So have you been working on anything new this year at all? Any kind of new animals?
I mean, for me this year it's been a funny one, just because it's been, I mean, am I jumping? I mean, I've got my notes. I've got my answer notes. I'm kind of going to have to slightly jump to the next one with this answer, I think.
Yeah.
So it was a big move this year from last year from Brighton to Kent and kind of getting set up. And I kind of knew it was going to be a back burner in terms of some of the artwork with kind of getting the mortgage and having to take a full-time job again. At Christmas, I got a book by Lucy Sheridan, The Comparison Cure, which is a fabulous read if you ever just anybody in life, really, it'd be good. But if you sometimes struggle with other people doing your kind of field and you kind of look at yourself and go, oh God, I'm not as good as them, fabulous book. And in it, she does this thing called a compass word that you should have for the year. So my kind of compass word this year is establishing. So it's kind of getting established in Kent, getting the house set up, maybe sort of getting stocked in a few local shops in the area, the new area and that kind of thing. So I think that's very much the goal. So I have been working on some bits, but predominantly it's kind of picking up on the weddings that got cancelled from last year. Which isn't a bad thing because I do really enjoy doing that. So it's kind of, it's been a year I've still been able to be creative, but it's kind of not so much been new ideas because I kind of had these last year. It's just they didn't come to fruition. So like I've got a few bits. I did plan. I had one wedding last year. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing, it's not happened yet, but where we did, it was kind of Brighton Pigs. They're getting married at the I360. And that was supposed to be last year, and then obviously got cancelled. And then we did a change the date because something else happened where they're having a baby coming instead. So now it's all been rescheduled, and it's one of these designs that I absolutely loved creating. So if I hold it there, it's actually the Brighton seafront.
Wow.
And then you open it up, and again, it's in there, but it's just kind of landmarks from Brighton in there. And it's stuff like that, really. And then with the kind of little kooky timeline that uses that, it's kind of bits like that I've been able to get back into creating, and just kind of a few more like wedding-y bits that I've been just kind of soldiering on with, really. Yeah. And as I said, the animal names, I've kind of been doing them a bit more. Like there's a few that I've done where it's actually been a bit more, I kind of scanned them in and kind of done them as separate entities. So this one was kind of a sea-themed one. It's kind of and stuff. The name was Isla. So it's kind of little bits like that I've been working on. The other bits is every year, anyone that follows me, I do Christmas cards.
Yep.
And every year I do design a new set of cards. And I say every year that I will do them sooner, but we're in August, we're in September, and they're not quite there yet. But I have been planning them. I have been kind of planning them. So anyone that kind of saw my work last year was I did the Penguins as the Christmas movies. Yeah, we did a Die Hard. There was Elf, and there was the Snowman. We're in the mix there. So this year it's kind of, it might be a sequel. There's definitely a couple coming in there. I'm just very much at loggerheads with which scene from Love Actually I would do. Because obviously you've got the famous gift wrapped scene, which to me just I love. But the 8 is a lot. David is still my favourite quote from the film. So kind of a penguin as an octopus in a nativity scene is what I'm looking at the moment. So it's kind of bits like that. I like to have fun with the Christmas cards because I think my animal prints, although the colour is quite fun, they're quite kind of not serious, but they're quite accurate to, as I said, how I see them. So it's quite fun to play scene and composition and that kind of thing. So the other Christmas cards kind of coming in on the way. And then I've got another very exciting project pending, which I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about, but I won't. But I've got a very exciting project pending.
Your lips are sealed. And you know, I love it as well because just now with the not Dorking, Brighton, sorry, with that, how lovely that you can use that as a wedding, and then later they can use it for you know, the baby's christening, or you know, when they reaching, you know, age things and that as well. You know, how lovely to actually come back to you and say, oh, could you design, you know, the first birthday or christening and things like that for the life, and just maybe just adding onto that illustration other little things as well, and it becomes something that's, I think as well, really, really personal. I love the fact as well with your, you know, the Die Hard and the Penguins, that you put your stamp on it. Christmas means different things to different people, isn't it? And you've put your kind of your humour into it as well, which I think is really important. Instead of just going, I'm just going to put a load of, you know, mistletoe and that's my Christmas card. You've thought a little bit more about it, which exactly. When people buying that, they're thinking about that person they're buying it for as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, last year we were living with Ollie's parents, and his mum could not get her head around the Die Hard card. She didn't get it. She was like, people aren't going to buy it. People are not going to buy it. And then loads of people bought it because they're like, I just want that card. I need to give it to my partner. Like, and so because it is the Marmite question, isn't it? Die Hard, is it a Christmas? Not. And I was like, I'm a firm believer, so I went with it.
And you know exactly what's great about it is, you know, I'm terrible for getting people's cards and putting them into frames, and that's how I've managed to, you know, I see a print and do that. So it's kind of with that, it's kind of, oh, there we go, I'll stick it into a frame and it'll go into the gallery, which we need to expand. It's almost the downstairs loo now is so full. I'm like, what about this hallway here, Rob? No. I was like, okay, so I'm working on it. So we have an ethos about being unique, creative and friendly. Is there a kind of ethos that you go with? Unlike what you said earlier of looking at where you're at and then go, right, okay, I'm going to look to establish. And I think that's really important, one step at a time, isn't it, as such, with doing things and not rushing into something and then feeling, actually, I don't really like what I'm doing. I need to just get myself going again, isn't it? So is there an ethos or something that you have at all?
Ooh, I'm an overthinker and I'm a planner. I think basically I need to cut myself overwriting and just kind of do it a lot of the time. But yeah, I think, I mean, in terms of the brand, I always kind of like to do my thing with it. And I like to think most of like what I do is I've dreamt it up and I'm not like copying someone else kind of thing. I know it's really hard. It's really hard when you look on Instagram and it's saturated with people sharing illustrations of particular animals. You're like, oh God, that's, you know, not similar, but like, oh, there's lots of zebras about sort of thing. And you kind of get, oh God, how's mine going to stand out? And I think you just got to have that conviction that, you know, you've done it yourself, you've drawn it, and that it's a part of you with how you've put it together. That I do all of my stuff in square prints, which kind of came about by accident, I'd say, because when I was doing the cushions and I used to have to get them set on square dimensions, I think one time I sent them to the in square format, and it just kind of happened. And I was like,
Right.
okay, that's different. Quite like it. I think I even thought it looks easier for the Instagram grid if you get like a border around the square. There we go. That's a couple of problems alleviated. So yeah, I think you can find your own way with doing stuff that other people have done, but I think always knowing you've come up with it and doing it your way is the most important bit of it. In terms of customer service side of it all, I worked in a complaints department for a big insurance company for 7 years. I'm very much aware of how important it is to have good service and deliver on kind of what I do. And I'm always quite mindful to try and take people, clients especially when it's kind of like a project, through the journey with it, keeping it updated as you go. Because it does take a lot of hours to do some of the work I do, like when I do like my Brighton scenes and stuff. Oh God, where have I hidden them? I buried them. Yeah, I've buried everything. But yeah, like when I do some of the kind of really big detailed work, there's so much time goes into it that if you're going down the wrong route and you're not kind of hitting the mark, then it can be like you can't come back and then you've got to redo it all, and it kind of just gets a bit problematic. So I think kind of a service where I very much keep people involved in it, up to date with the process and just touching base. It's very important, I think, for me. I think one of the areas I improve on is my craft fair performance when I'm behind my stall, because I used to get so nervous, like when I do it. Like generally, me and Ollie man the stall together, and he's much better at kind of interacting with people, just because I find it's my work, so it's really personal to me. So if someone comes along and snarls at it a bit to begin with, I found it really hard. Whereas he could cut it off. But I've got much better actually, and now it's just really fun to meet people. And you know, they're not everyone's going to work. I don't like everybody else's work, so you kind of got to expect that back, if that makes sense. That kind of not everything's for me, everything's for them. But it's just really fun when you might just get a couple of people that come along to a stall that you have a great day talking to, and actually that can just give you so much energy and kind of be like, and they're like, oh my God, the next time you're here, I want to see you do a lion or something like this. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do that lion, because the next time I'm there, that person might be there and be like, wow, you did that lion. And it's almost that kind of, might be one or two people, but they can just really energize you and just be like, yeah, I'm going to go home and I'm going to just draw straight away. Never happens. I always take out and relax, but yeah.
And I mean, that's exactly what you said there. It's so important, I think, as well, with what we're doing, trying to achieve now, as in, you joined us back in 2018 and we were in Crossway. So I think you're going to see a difference now of how we've, and what we've done is really looked at what you said there about being nervous and really kind of working on that. So when we're looking at, when we do the hall, when we do the Dorking halls of where everyone is, we're looking at who they're next to, making sure that we've got somebody next to them who can mentor them, sort of, in a way. We wouldn't put two brand new people next to each other. So there's that little bit of kind of, they're going to get on, and then almost sort of like mix it up a bit, because actually, and that's how, we've learned as well that people, they can be quite nervous, and it is, and like you said earlier, and you get people and they look at your product, and and it can be really quite disheartening. You think all the time and love I put into that, and that one person can come along and just really make you feel crap, can't they, to put it politely? It can be a really, it can, and we've had it in the past, and we've had people look at our stuff and and those people that then turn around and go, do you get this in from China? And it's just, and that's why we done our promo video, to show, so when you see it, you see that we are behind, we have the scissors, we are making it, and there are those customers, and how you kind of handle it as well, isn't it? And you've got somebody next to you that can go, ignore them and whatever, because that one person, as well. And somebody was saying the other day, which I found was quite funny, they might look at your stuff and go, well, I can draw that, but they can't, and they can say it or they can do it, can't they? So it is really important to make sure that we're all very comfortable, and that's I think you will see the community, and we all look after each other. So and it can be, and just people, they're there scrutinizing everything on your table as such, aren't they? And but most of the people are, there will be a couple of people that will be negative, but we can't help that, can we? And but it's not to take it personally, and actually I've learned as well now with you guys as well, is actually it's your time and effort. If somebody sneers at your price, you can come back with, you know, telling them what goes into what they're seeing, isn't it? Which is really, really important. So,
and I think one really important one I had once at a fair. It was awful. It was one of my last ones before Christmas one year, and it was a terrible day. I think I sold like 1 or 2 things, and like when it gets bad for me, I'd like to take myself off, and I'll leave Ollie to look after the store, and I'll go for a walk. And then and it was really bad that Ollie even took himself for a little walk, and he was like, "Oh, I'll go get the car ready to come round towards the end of the day." And I was like, "Yep." And I was starting to pack up. I don't know whether it was like a slow day in the hall or not, but I was like, "No, I've paid my stall. I will, you know, you got to stay there till your time, that sort of thing." And then all of a sudden, this woman came along. It was a bit extra. I loved her, and she was like, "Oh, what's have you got one? Have you got the in yellow? We've got that in yellow and that." And I was like, "What?" And then all of a sudden, my store was a flurry with people, and I sold so much in like this 10 minutes. Ollie came back and was like, "Have you?" Like, no, just had a rush. And it was like, it's one of those important things, like all the minutes you spend there are still important, and there's still people around. So as much as you're having like a bad time, or one person might walk past and go, "Oh, that's not for me, I don't like their work," the person behind them might hear that and be like, "Oh, actually, I really like that." And that could them in. So it's kind of always staying in that positive mind frame that there's always that opportunity to kind of sell and present yourself, and even just having it out, you are still, it's an audience, and they might not visually or like react to you, tell you that they like it, but it is kind of getting to them. They are absorbing it all in and kind of getting stimulated by it. So
yeah, you know, we were talking the other day, it was something that I was talking about, because obviously when you have you're all set up, we can look at you as Chris Millard, and we know who you are as such. We know that that's your artwork, and it was interesting to say that, you know, you still need to represent your artwork as you as a person. So it's quite funny, isn't it, that I could take all of you and go, you know, take every single person and then say to somebody, where are these people? Where would they fit in the room? Do you see what I mean? And that bit of being true to your identity. So this is Chris Millard. This is who I am. This is my artwork. And having that so that you complement what you're making, so you're part of that as well, if that makes sense. That's quite a sort of to sort of look at. And as we've been, you know, with the whole kind of shop front, the pop-up department store, these are words that have come from people talking on these 10 at 10s, which I kind of like. And yesterday we were in Greenwich and seeing how different that was, because obviously it's still kind of very much, there's a lot less stalls there. So, you know, years ago you'd go there, it would be absolutely packed, and it was probably a quarter of the there, and you know, it was that chance for people to shine. And we met a couple of really, really, really lovely people there, actually, who just, you know, they were talking about their products and how they sold them and what they had there and what they could do, the bespoke, and talked all about that. And it was really, that's what we want when people come to our events, that they can talk to you, you can talk about your other stuff that you do, the bespoke, and you know, they get to know you, which I think is really important, isn't it? Yeah, really important. Did we do goals and dreams for this year? No, we kind of talked about. So your goals and dreams.
Generally just getting set up and getting some new animals in the collection, because I'm aware I think last year getting in there. So this year I definitely want to do some. So I made a list yesterday of some animals that I do want to get drawing. So watch this space, and I'm going to try and get better at getting back on the grid and kind of filming stuff. So yes. Yeah.
And you talked earlier about obviously where you've moved to Kent. Are you finding anywhere there yet at all that sort of that you can do markets, or are you still is there anywhere there at all?
There are options. I think again it's still a bit slow reopening, following everything, and I think that kind of thing. But no, definitely in Whitstable, I think there's quite a lot of opportunities there to do stuff. And I looked the other day, there's Faversham, I think's got some stuff coming up, which I'm going to look into later. So yeah, I'm sure I can find it. Yeah, we'll make it work. And obviously there's the old Etsy churner, which I'm really terrible at maintaining, but it's it's good for that when the Christmas card season comes and people kind of Google and search and stuff. But I much prefer kind of selling in person and kind of interacting with people. As much as I said I used to hate it, now I much more prefer it. So yeah.
In Whitstable, we were there the other day, and it was a midweek day. So, but there were these sort of like this little area, and there's these sort of beach huts that you can, you can hire out. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was lovely. Straight away, there were a couple of people, Susie West, who does the illustration, and Rikus Ra, and they were both kind of there as well. So then that as well, you know, there was only a couple of them open, but I'd imagine on a Saturday or something. So, you know, even we were like, well, that'd be nice to bring Dapper Suave down here. And even down the road, there's some beautiful fishermen's what's it, huts net that you can hire out for the night as well. So you can make a real, like, make a bit of a weekend of it as well, can't you? Which is great.
Yeah.
So, and I say, and that's what I'm a little bit working on as well, is finding out as well all those other markets, not just in our area, but all around the UK. And that's something that I'm working on, so that I can give you guys the opportunity to have the sound, you know, that I can talk to these people, but then, you know, we can then go off and do their events and vice versa, so that we're, you know, as my friend Emma talks about community, not competition. How cool would it be that I can open that door for other people to go and do those ones in, you know, Kent, in London, which is really good, isn't it? Because then you get that exposure. And also with our events next year, you know, we want more and more people to come along, and there's new products, because we don't want all of our events to be the same. And, you know, that's another thing that I'm trying to work on. Do I feed them, and, you know, feedback from people, which is, you know, what they want and what they don't want, and it's listening to them, but keeping true to who we are, which is important. So who would you say is your support network?
Well, I'd have to say Ollie, number one, because without him, I don't think I would have made the leap to quit the corporate job that I was in for 7 years. Yeah, it kind of gave me the confidence in kind of doing it, and kind of like, you got to give it a chance. Obviously, I've got my mum and sister, who, like, my mum's great, but also she's very much like supportive if she knows you're going to do all right at it. Whereas if there's a bit of uncertainty, there's a lot of, is that wise to do? Which is good. I mean, you know, caution is needed. But I kind of handed in my notice and then told her I was leaving the job, because I kind of thought that one would be, she taught me out of it. So, but no, they're very good. And then I've got lots of friends. Like, so much of my work and commissions do come from friends ordering stuff, or they recommended, if they've got a friend that's getting married, that they send my details their way, which is always really nice, actually. I mean, obviously any sale feels good, but when it's somebody that you know has literally gone, oh yeah, I've got a friend that could do this, and they've thought of me, that really means a lot. So much of that is that. It's just when you're doing somebody else's wedding stage. Yeah, sorry. I have time limits on my Instagram and stuff on my app. I'm on it all day. It's just if you do wedding for a friend of a friend, you've got to make sure that they look different, which is always good. So and then there's loads of other kind of makers and creators and stuff that I've met at stalls, and like, I have this weird thing where I'm like, whoever I'm next to at stalls, I tend to kind of become friends with, or we like kind of message a lot on Instagram. There's just a few people that I've met over the years that have been really lovely, and always really supportive when I do posts up and stuff. So that's always good. And then you can bounce ideas off of like costings and stuff to people. So
definitely. And you know, that's important. I mean, we've got some people doing the September event who've never done an event before, and I can't wait till, you know, that joy that somebody has come along, a complete stranger that has bought it, isn't their family, isn't their friends as such, and it is, you still get that buzz, don't you, that stranger has taken that time to like your work, they've taken it, or they bought it for somebody, they tell you that story, and it still makes you feel good, even now as Dapper Suave. I still get that buzz. That's something that I've made, and they've bought it. It's sort of, you know, sometimes you don't want to sort of let go, do you? But it's there, and it's that kind of. So what events are you doing with Created by Dapper Suave?
I am doing. I'm doing the October the 3rd and December the 5th markets. I am. So October, hopefully I will have some new animal prints or products kind of ready for then. But I imagine the Christmas one, I'll have all the Christmas cards, and I'll have a few more bits together by then. I just think time-wise, I know where I'm at and how long it's going to take. I've got a few weddings at the moment that are kind of very much on the horizon. Where I've got like illustrated timelines and seating plans and kind of on the day bits to do for them, which is really good. And actually, because as I said, so many of these weddings are ones that were delayed from last year. So I really want to make sure that what I deliver for them is really good, because I think a lot of people have had it quite difficult with having to reschedule and that kind of thing. I know one of my friends, it's been pretty disastrous, really. The first venue went into liquidation, then it's been like rescheduled for the fourth. So come November, really hope that it comes through for them and that her and her husband have a really amazing day, because they kind of deserve it with how rough it's been the journey. So, but yeah, I will definitely get quite a lot of hopefully new bits done, especially for the Christmas one ready.
And it's great, isn't it? Because where you are there in October, you can use that feedback to then sort of, if a lot of people are saying, oh, what about this and whatever, then it's almost, I'll be back to sell them in that time, isn't it? And listen, you know, and also listening to customers, because sometimes the customers aren't always right, are they? When they give that advice and you should do this, you should do that, but you might go, well, actually, there's a lot of other people who are doing that, so I need to do something different that's true to you as well, isn't it? You know, and probably.
Not to go off, I had a woman once that the very first year I did Christmas cards, I just did 5 of the design in a pack, and this woman, it was the first I did, she came along and she went, you should do multi-packs, you should do varied designs in them. And the next year I did, and she came along and she went, you listen to me, and then every year she'd say it, because she always went to this same market. So again, a lot of snaps to
there's a lot of that going on, of what you should and what you shouldn't do, and you know, there's and straight away probably you get it, that they'll come along and they're looking for a specific animal, aren't they? And you know, don't you do such and such, and it's quite sort of funny, you know, even with the people that draw pets and dogs, isn't it? There'll be that one person who'll come along and they're straight away, you haven't got such and such a dog, and it's like, okay, you know, we used to have it with the dog bandanas, and we tried to make them, you know, neutral in colours. And have you got anything for a girl? Well, yeah, that's kind of, you can use that for, and you know, it's almost, they're trying to find ways to pick, aren't they? Which is, it's funny. So you need to find ways to sort of come back at them in a way that sort of shuts them down. And okay. So one of the questions, obviously, I ask everyone, why did you choose to work with us? And I know it's because you were back in 2018, and you'll see the changes. But why did you choose to work with us, would you say?
Well, I remember meeting you guys. I was actually doing a craft fair in Brighton outside. It was a gorgeous day. And you came along and you were talking, and you introduced yourself and said how nice it was to kind of see more male craft stall holders, which is, I must admit, when you do go, it's a very kind of female dominated kind of area, I would say. Not that's the bad, but it is, I think generally when I stand behind my stall, if I'm on my own, I think sometimes people assume I might be the partner rather than because could be a girl. It's sometimes you get that. I sometimes think people think, oh, you did them, that kind of thing. So so that was nice, because you kind of made that a kind of point and made me feel really welcome. And then I think because your events aren't huge, there's that personal touch to them. Like you could go to one, like a Christmas market, 3-day, 250 stalls. Whoever's organised that doesn't necessarily care about each stall holder, and aren't thinking, I'm going to put a new person next to an experienced person so you can learn and kind of share skills or think about where you're at. I remember I did the only kind of multi-day one I did, and it was, I got next to the RSPB, and all the guy kept saying was, give a hog a home, was like his chant line. And he was kind of scaring people away from my stall. And it's just kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of, they don't care. They've paid your stall fee. They don't really care. It's, you know, they'll be able to attract more people the following year. Whereas it's like all small businesses, you care about what you're doing, and you want it to succeed. You don't want that kind of you want it to keep growing and getting better. So I think that's the appeal, I think, especially working with you guys, because we're quite like-minded and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's generally why I'd say I work with you.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and it is, isn't it? I think as well, where there's lots of new business on board, and the male thing that we talk about, and you know, we're not down in the women, but you know, it's really nice to see, because before with me and Rob, we would walk into the room and it would very much be us as guys, and there might be a couple of guys who would come along with the wife, and they're just sort of sat there as such and not really into it. So now it's really nice that we've got a lot more guys on board, which you'll see at the events, and it's really nice. And obviously with us too, very different, because a lot of the markets out there, all of the markets and every single one that I'm looking at are all run by women. So you know, it's really not, we're just giving our edge onto it, our background as well. So hopefully you will see something a little bit different. And what you've said earlier is you know, from the beginning, you know, with the new people, holding their hands at the beginning, and then also helping them, you know, they'll send images, what do you think of this, what do you think of that, and then even on the day, just making sure that, you know, and giving them advice, you know, and if they want that advice, I'm not there to critique and whatever. And sometimes I have to stop and go, no, they need to learn, you know, they need to learn how to sell as well. And if they haven't had such a good day, is it because they're too busy chatting, they're not chatting to the customers, they've got their face full of food, you know, and there are those stallholders back in the day who I would look and like, Christ, do you not stop eating? You know, like everything, they would be there, like just food. And it was like, you know, and
yeah,
you know, you walk into a shop in the high street, you will not buy from somebody if they're not interacting with you. So that's what we're trying to get across, which I think which you will see. So yeah, cool, really good to talk to you. Oh God, we talked about 45 minutes there, which is great, and it's really nice.
I mean, I thought I was going to speak for 20 minutes. I was so nervous earlier, so that's an achievement.
So what we'll do is this will go on to our Instagram TV. God, that's a mouthful. And then it'll be on LinkedIn as well, and then on our YouTube channel. So anyone that hasn't subscribed to that, and also you can go back and watch all of the other videos that we've done as well. And tomorrow we are with Tim from By the Seaside, so another guy, which is really good. So he messaged me earlier. It's very easy, you know, you just request and join. There's a lot of people that, like yourself, that this is all very new to them. So I think after this, I think there's going to be a lot more people that actually can just do their own little lives and tell people what they're up to. So I think there's going to be a lot more people doing this on their own, isn't it? And interacting, telling people what you're up to. So excellent, really good to speak to you. And
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Have you got sunshine down there? No. We
just got to go and find out that we hopefully don't have COVID. That's the now dream. So
oh God, yeah. It's still worrying, isn't it? Even like we've been out and about, and still the crowds, it feels, I don't know, but we need to do what we need to do, don't we? So, you know, whatever happens, our events will still go ahead.
Yeah,
you know,
we keep on.
And, yeah, you know, and with the whole kind of the bigger rooms with the social distancing and all of that, if anything does happen and we have to go back to that, then we've got plan A, B, C, D, you know, we've all learned from last year. So yeah, cool, lovely. Excellent, really great to speak to you, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.
Cool. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.